Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another Future Fight Vanguard video. Today we're going to be covering the V-BT05 Nubatama deck, continuing on with our coverage of aerial Steed Liberation. So we're on Nubatama now, and that means that we just have Gold Paladin and Narukami to go. So if you guys haven't checked out the rest of the series already, be sure to check out the Royal Paladin and OTT decks that I put out on Monday and Tuesday. If you guys are regular members, if you guys are doing the YouTube membership, you guys would have seen it far ahead. So don't worry about that. We're on something new already. But yes, happy Thanksgiving Eve, guys. I hope you guys are ready to chow down tomorrow and enjoy yourself just with your family. And happy Thanksgiving Eve. I'm thankful for each and every single one of you guys. There will be a video tomorrow, just letting you guys know that, but I hope you guys are ready for turkey time. But before turkey time, it is ninja time, so let's get right into the video. Before we do, if you guys are interested in anime or gaming, be sure to check out my second channel down in the description below, Let's Plays Animes on YouTube. Also be sure to check out our sponsor, Team Vision. They have a lot of articles on Vanguard, cool strategies and stuff like that for you guys to take advantage of. So definitely go check out the link down in the description below. And if you guys are interested in becoming a member of the channel, definitely click that join button next to the subscribe button so that you guys can see all the perks and everything that it's all about. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. So obviously, no G-Zone, standard .deck. We say this every video. If you guys are regulars, you already know. But we're going to be talking about Nubatama today, like I said. So Nubatama is a Protect deck within standard. So you definitely, like I said with the OTT deck yesterday, Protect in kind of a weird spot right now where you do not really want to go Protect 2 unless your deck can specifically do something with it. And this deck, in my opinion, can't do anything with Protect 2, this deck specifically, this deck build, just because most of your grade 2s that you would intercept with, that you would be using Protect 2 to get full value out of, most of your grade 2s bounce themselves or go somewhere after they attack. They don't stay on the board to defend against your opponent. So beyond there being the issue of control, being able to just mess up Protect 2 altogether, there is also the problem of if your grade 2s don't stay on the board, you can never take full advantage of Protect 2. Also, we run the grade 3 bird, Koku Shigarasu, in this deck, so that works off of PGs, so we definitely want to be able to go Protect 1 just to get the Sentinels whenever we can. But getting started right here with the deck list, we're going to be starting off with 4 of our new grade 3 from this set, which is 4 Shura Stealth Dragon, Jamio Kongo. So this card actually has a premium restriction because it's really broken with Shiranui Rine, but we're covering standard, so you guys don't have to worry about that. Just know that it's not restricted in standard in any way. But it's only Vanguard skill, and quite a powerful Vanguard skill at that, is when placed and at the end of the turn of each turn, your opponent chooses 6 cards from his or her hand and discards the rest. And if your soul has a grade 3, then he or she chooses 4 cards instead of 6. So what this does is, since Vanguard doesn't have a hand size limit, this card actually imposes a hand size limit upon your opponent, which can be really powerful because Nubatama is already the clan that makes you discard cards or makes your opponent discard cards to make them lose advantage. So making them go down to a hand size limit is really, really powerful because then on top of that, you make them discard cards and then they just can't guard or they can't recover and build a board if there's a certain deck that doesn't search from the deck. But yeah, obviously you can ride this card first and then set them to hand limit size 6. And then if you ride it second, you have a grade 3 in your soul. Or if you just happen to soul charge we have a couple soul charge options in this deck. So if you just happen to soul charge a grade 3, that's also amazing because you can also just change the hand size limit from 6 to 4 instantly on your first ride. And since it activates at the end of every turn too, you can just sit on this card for the entire game and not really ride to anything else. Of course, we do want to ride to other things, but if we don't seem to find a grade 3, that hand size limit is still imposed on our opponent. It's also really good for things like if we attack into our opponent, they decide to no-guard a bunch of attacks, and one of their no-guards is a draw trigger on damage step, and then they draw from 6 to 7 cards in their hand. Then at the end of the turn, it'll make them discard one, so it'll make them go back down to 6 if they don't use one of those cards to guard. So very, very good, very useful. Just keep track of your opponent's hand and your resources, and this card should be a very powerful asset for you to use. Moving on to our next grade 3, we have 4 Covert Demonic Dragon Magatsu Storm. So this is the ace card of the deck before this set. before it got support is still very, very good, especially with the self-imposed hand size limit, because what this means is that Jamio Congo, since it activates at the end of the turn of your opponent's turn, it makes them go down to 4 cards in hand, and then when you're ready to ride the next turn immediately, you can just ride this card, and this card already like ensures that you're going to get 4 to 5 attacks. So with your opponent only having 4 cards in their hand, if they are at 4 or 5 damage, it becomes a very dangerous game for them to play. But let's get right into the abilities here. So it has 2 Vanguard abilities. The first one says when it is attacked by your opponent's Vanguard, counterblast 1 and retire 2 rearguards, and this unit cannot be hit until the end of the battle. So this unit can create a PG for itself, which is really cool because, like I said, Koko Shigarasu uses the Sentinels in our hand, so we definitely don't want to be left lacking without a PG and a really powerful attack comes at us. And this effect also gets around like guard restrict and stuff like that. So if your opponent is attacking you with like a waterfall, dragon or something like that, something that says that you can't guard with Sentinels usually, you can just use this card's skill to PG it if it is the Vanguard, which is really, really cool, and it saves you from a lot of situations where you would otherwise just die. The secondary ability is Vanguard once per turn. When your rearguard is returned to your hand during your turn, Soul Blast 1 grade 3, draw a card, and choose 3 cards from your hand to rearguard circle. You choose 3 cards from your hand and call them to rearguard circle, and then they get plus 5,000 power each. So what this means is that when I said that you're ensuring 4 to 5 attacks in a turn, this card, whenever a card bounces itself, which a lot of our cards bounce themselves to hand in the battle phase, so when you bounce a card in battle phase, which is the most ideal time to use this card, you would basically just call back out 3 after drawing a card, and then you get more attacks, and you drew a card for it, which is pretty cool as well. Moving on to our last grade 3 of the grade 3 lineup, making for 10 grade 3s, we have 2 Stealth Beasts, Koga Shigarasu. Koga Shigarasu has a Vanguard and Rearguard ability, although we never want this card to be on our Vanguard circle, because that's really bad. If it does the same exact thing on Rearguard circle, we would just always rather it be on Rearguard circle. But its skill is Soul Blast 3 and discard 2 Sentinels from your hand. This unit gets plus 15,000 power until the end of the turn. And then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, return all your opponent's rearguards to the hand. And if you returned 1 or more, your opponent has to choose 5 cards from their hand and discard them. So this is obviously really, really, really powerful in combination with Jamio Congo, because you put them to a 4 hand size limit, and then you wipe their board. If they're playing Protect or Force and they have a full board, they're just losing their whole board. If they're playing Excel, they might lose their whole board and then get to keep like 1 card, but it's still very, very powerful as a board wipe option. And then if your opponent has like 1 card on the board and like 4 cards in hand, they literally bounce 1 card and they have to discard their entire hand, so that ensures that they're not going to be able to block for the turn, so they just have to eat 3 attacks from you. So this is a very powerful finishing card and mid-game card for you to use. Sometimes you can get it off twice per game, but your opponent usually threatens you enough to where you have to use some of your PGs, so you probably won't get it off twice per game, but once per game is more than enough devastating in my opinion. Moving on to our grade 2s, we have 4 Stealth Dragon Magatsu Gale. So this is our ideal Vanguard ride in this deck. It has a Vanguard Rearguard ability that says when placed, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and this unit gets plus 6,000 power. So very, very good. Allows us to just plus 1 from playing it, and then it gets plus 6,000 power, able to hit over force, really good. And then it's a secondary ability, partly refunds part of the first ability, and that says at the end of the battle that it attacked, put this unit into your soul and choose 1 of your rearguards and return it to your hand. So not only do you get to like play triggers, play grade 1s that their abilities won't proc and you're worried about that, you get to play those and they get to temporarily be on the board to boost Magatsu Gale, and then when you swing at the end of the battle, you can just shove the Magatsu Gale to soul and bounce the trigger or bounce the grade 1 to your hand, therefore removing it from danger if your opponent's playing control deck, or just putting it back to hand so that you can reactivate the on-play skill the next time you would play it. Moving on to our next grade 2, we have 4 Momentary Stealth Rogue Tsunamasa. So Tsunamasa is a really good card in this deck, like obviously fuels a lot of different parts of the deck, and I'll explain why. The first ability is when placed, 1 of your units gets plus 3,000 power, and then if that unit is a grade 3, Soul Charge 1. So obviously whenever you're using Tsunamasa, you definitely always want to target a grade 3, because random Soul Charging in this deck is really good, especially when that random Soul Charge happens to be a grade 3. But obviously you need huge amounts of Soul for stuff like Koga Shigarasu, Magatsu Gale. You also have Magatsu Breath that Soul Blast, so you have a lot of cards in this deck that Soul Blast, so you definitely want to keep your Soul high and not dry. But at the secondary ability of this rearguard is at the end of the battle that it attacked, Soul Blast 1 and return this unit to your hand. So obviously a really good unit to just stay out of danger. Worst case scenario is you play it, you Soul Charge, that card's not what you wanted it to be, and you're not doing anything with it this turn. So you just attack with Tsunamasa, and then you get it out of harm's way by just Soul Blasting the same card that you Soul Charge. So it doesn't really cost anything. Really, really awesome. The only thing that I don't like about it is it's 8K, but that's easily overlooked by how good the card is in of itself. Then for our last grade 2, we have 3 Stealth Rogue of 1,000 Blades, Oboro Zakura. So Oboro Zakura has a rearguard ability that says when placed, if you have 3 or more units, counterblast 1, this unit gets plus 6,000 power till the end of the turn. And then if you have 1 or less face-up cards in your damage zone, you can Soul Charge 1. So obviously just another Soul Charge option, and it is a beater as well. When you use the skill, it becomes 15k, which works really, really well with our 11k boosters and our 7k boosters as well. Moving on to our grade 1s, we have 4 Stealth Dragon Magatsu Breath. Magatsu Breath is another one of our bouncers. So this card actually bounces a column instead of just bouncing just itself. So it is very useful for if you want to play like a Magatsu Storm turn and you have a unit in front of Magatsu Breath that wouldn't normally bounce itself. So anything that is not Magatsu Gale or Tsunamasa, like if it would not bounce itself, you can actually just bounce the entire column with Magatsu Breath, which makes it just as good for clearing up space on your board. But the first rearguard ability is when placed, if you have a Vanguard with Magatsu in its name, this unit gets plus 3,000 power, so it obviously becomes an 11k when you have a Magatsu on board. That's good for attacking and boosting as well. And then the rearguard ability that we were just talking about, the secondary one, is at the end of the battle that it attacked or boosted, you can Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand, and return all of your rearguards in the same column as this unit to your hand. So obviously just clearing up space on your board, really good bounce option as well. Our next grade 1 in the deck is 4 Stealth Rogue of the Night Sakura Fubuki. Sakura Fubuki has a rearguard ability that says when placed, if you have 3 or more units, discard a card from your hand. This unit gets plus 3,000 power. And then if you have 1 or less face-up cards in your damage zone, draw a card and countercharge 1. So obviously this card keeps your countercharge alive, while also being a little bit of a beat stick as well. This is really good on turn 2 when you have things like 2 Magatsu Gales or like a Magatsu Gale and a Oboro Zakura and 1 Counterblast, stuff like that. You're able to still use the abilities and draw cards and countercharge. So very, very good option to the deck. And then our last grade 1, we run 4 Stealth Dragon Anti-Brand. This is actually a promo card that didn't come out during the original release of this set. But now with this deck, it is pretty good in my opinion, just because you can force your opponent into a lot of weird situations. Also, it is a 10k. It can always turn itself into a 10k beater or a 10k booster, so that is obviously really, really good with your attack columns as well. So its rearguard ability is once per turn, rest this unit. Your opponent chooses one of their rearguards in the same column as this unit, returns it to their hand. If he or she returned, stand this unit, and it gets plus 2,000 power. So this is obviously good in a couple matchups, namely Tachikaze, because once they're stacking the assault gauges or the gauges underneath their cards, you can actually just use Anti-Brand, bounce their card, and they just lose their gauges for free. So just anything like that where, you know, a card would have to stay on board, you can have you can be fighting a deck that's Protect, and they can go Protect 2, and if the Protect 2 card that's sitting on the circle is the only one in the column, you can just go Anti-Brand and bounce that Protect 2 unit, which makes it less shield in their hand than it would have been if it was on the field to intercept. So just a really, really good option there. Just be sure to use it wisely because you don't want to give your opponent too many free cards in their hand. Then for our triggers and our grade 0s, we run 1 Stealth Dragon Magatsu Wind. This is our starting Vanguard, or our first Vanguard in Japanese, whatever you would like to call it by. It's our starter. And then we run for our triggers 4 crit, 8 draw, and 4 heals. So this is actually an interesting lineup that a lot of people won't expect. But we run 4 crit and 8 draw because we really want to see our pieces in this deck. That's what matters the most. Like, what matters the most in this deck is not offensive pressure or anything like that, which is usually the reason that you run crits. We run draws because we want to get to our pieces, and if we can ensure that we get to our pieces, the rest is just easy because we make our opponent discard a bunch of cards, and then our opponent just can't guard no matter how big or small the attack is. So just running draw triggers just really helps us in the defensive game as well. Being able to damage check draw triggers is one of the most godlike things you can do in this game. So whenever you check a draw trigger, it does make your opponent a little bit tilted, and it does get us pieces at the same time. So 4 crit, 8 draw, 4 heal. Obviously being 4 Stealth Beast Tobihiko, 4 Stealth Beast Minjin Kure, that's the Draw Trigger PG, 4 Stealth Fiend Otsutsura, and 4 Stealth Fiend Zashiki Hime. So with that being said, that was the deck profile portion of the video, and yeah, we're gonna get right into the play part of the video, so let's switch right over. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, we have the same deck here that I was just discussing with you guys. We got our boy Shingo, as he's not really our boy. I actually hate this character, but we are going to play with the same character that plays the deck, so we're going to go ahead and get right into the World Fight ranking matchups, just so we can get in a few games here. Alright, so we found a game. Looks like it's going to be some guy named Jack. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go with Rock. Our opponent went Scissors, so we are going first. We're just going to put back the crit trigger because the rest of our hand is fine. And depending on what we play against is depending on how we make our first move. So we're actually playing in Shadow Paladin. That is completely fine. I don't know if I would consider this matchup good or bad, probably just even. But we are going to draw from our starter. We draw another Magatu Breath, which is perfect. Good thing that I didn't ride Sakura Fubuki. Or, yeah, Sakura Fubuki. So we pass turn to our opponent. Our opponent rides Transient Revenger Masquerade. Draws a card from his starter. And then I assume he's just going to attack me. Oh, wait. Nope. He had a Nemain. So he's going to use Nemain probably to call another Nemain behind Vanguard. And then go for the swing. Yes, yes, yes. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and no-guard that, because there's no actual like reason to block it. Our opponent drive checks a Mordred. Good and bad for us, because we do want to keep a lid on that if we can. Unfortunately, we didn't get that Jamio Congo to our hand, because it would have been good in the scenario. But we are going to ride and then go anti-brand. I'm actually going to return the Nemain to his hand because I just want to swing for a good number. And either way, it would be the same as if he had on the board if he just plays it back. So we're going to go ahead and swing for 19, being a perfect number. Alright, we drive check and we drove check Oberozakura, which is completely fine. Our opponent checks damage check, and it is a Blackwing Swordbreaker. Pass turn to our opponent. See if our opponent has like Blaster Dark or something. That's what I would assume to retire Anti-Brand. Or Masquerade to search, but if he doesn't have either, that would be great as well, for us at least. Alright, so our opponent chose to go with the Blaster Dark ride, using Blaster Dark's skill to pop our card, so that he can get that Twin Drive by discarding. Alright, our opponent uses Blaster Dark, drops a Danger Lunge. That's actually really interesting. Usually that's one of the cards you would want to keep in the Shadow Paladin hand. So that is indeed interesting. Our opponent plays the same domain that we bounced, uses the skill, probably to just go get another domain. So our opponent actually opted to play the domain over here, which is pretty interesting that they didn't choose to opt to play it in the front row. So our opponent swings at us for 10. Again, there's no real reason to block, so we're going to no-guard, hope that he doesn't check any crits. Check the draw trigger. That's kind of awful as well for us, but more bearable than a crit. And he checks a Blaster Dark, which means that Mordred is going to be at least halfway live next turn. So we do check a heal trigger on damage. That's pretty fire. Unfortunately, we can't avoid the damage from this rear guard, completely by a damage trigger. So we're going to no guard that as well. But I'll take that any day over being at 3 damage, just being at 2. Oh, or just being at 1 because we're apparently broken. So we double healed on damage, so pretty good if you ask me. I mean, although we'd rather check heals in this deck because since we have a lower like hand shield, then we want bigger shields like that in our hand and not in the damage. But we're gonna go protect 1, obviously. And what we're gonna do is we are going to call this here. Use the skill, target Vanguard, since Vanguard's a grade 3, soul charge. Now, if we soul charge to grade 3, alright, we did not soul charge to grade 3. I thought we could go ham for a second. We do have another chance to soul charge to grade 3, though, so let's see if we can do it. So, Oberozakra, play it, counterboss 1, soul charge, and did we get it? We did not get it. Alright, so let's go ahead and call, use the skill to discard 1, draw 1, and countercharge. Call Magatsu Breath. It gets 3,000 power since our Vanguard has Magatsu in its name. And then we're also going to Sakura Fubuki again, just because we know we can get the skill to drop discard and draw. Unfortunately, I guess we shouldn't have done that because there was a crit waiting. But, alright, let's get it. So, this is going to be 19 to our opponent's Vanguard. Our opponent does guard with a grade 1. We are going to go ahead and use Breath skill, just so we can bounce the entire column, because these cards are useful to us. Alright, Vanguard attacks for 26. I assume a no guard. There it is. Check 1, draw trigger. Draw an Oberozakra, that's cool. Check 2, heal trigger. We do heal. Fire. The heal triggers have been fire this game. Alright, Magatsu Storm does its damage. Shuriken Jutsu. Damage tag. And I'd be really surprised if my opponent blocks this last attack because it's just so big. 46. Alright, our opponent takes it. Hits a heal trigger himself. I actually thought that was going to happen because we've checked so many heals. The game needs to normalize, right? And there we're going to pass turn. 6 to 6 cards in hand, and we're at 0 damage, and he's at 2. So that's a pretty good start. He rides a Mordred Phantom. I think obviously he's going to go for Force 1, but maybe this guy just wants to go Force 2 for some reason. Yep, so there's the Force 1, as expected. Calls Masquerade, which is interesting because he can get another Blaster Dark. We know that he has a Dark already. Alright, so he got another Mordred. He's retiring the main, and he's calling the Dark, probably, right there. Yes. Indeed, predicted. Alright, so our opponent gets to choose to put a Force in another place. He decides to go ahead and lay it on Vanguard. And I assume he goes right into attack from here. So because he did this, it would be really, really cool if we got another grade 3 of any kind. Especially Jamio Congo, because we would be able to limit the amount of nonsense that's going to happen to us next turn, or the next turn after this. We do damage check a crit though, so that's pretty good. And then our opponent attacks for 28. Counterboss 1 restands. And we're not going to PG, and we're not going to guard. Check 1, draw trigger. Probably Power to Masquerade so we can hit Vanguard. Yep. Dang, he went draw crit. Okay. So crit to Vanguard, power to rearguard. Hopefully we check a damage trigger. 1. Come on, draw trigger. Okay, heal trigger. And we have officially healed all 4 times. Broken, guys. Broken. Our opponent is probably salty. We can't even, like, see his expression. I'm upset. And we got a draw trigger on defense. Let's go. Then our opponent attacks rearguard for 41. Yeah, we just take that. Honestly. Stand and draw. We draw a draw trigger PG. Unfortunately, we don't have another 3 in our hand, so we're just going to go ahead and call this. Let's hopefully soul charge a 3. Come on, did we do it? No, we soul charge a PG draw 2. That sucks. Okay, so we're gonna call Magatsu Gale. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. It gets +6, and then we draw a card. Dang, we still didn't draw a grade 3. Where are our grade 3s, guys? Like, literally ghosting us. Okay, so our Magatsu Breath gets 3k. We're gonna go ahead and attack for 19. Our opponent no guards. Damage check nothing. Awesome. We're gonna go ahead and use breath skill. Get rid of this this Oberozakura. Return both to hand. Attack for 23 to Vanguard. Our opponent guards for a 2 to pass. We get a draw trigger. Drawing anti-brand. Let's go power to Gale. And then we do get Jamio Congo, finally. Alright, so our opponent's probably going to take this, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, okay, our opponent decides to PG. Probably since he saw the Jamio, he wants to start lowering that hand a little bit more. And the best way to do that is just to guard so that you don't just lose your hand pointlessly. Alright, so we're going to use Gale skill. Shove to Soul. And then we're going to bounce our Sakura Fubuki. So our opponent rides another Mordred Phantom. See where the force is going. Maybe to the remaining rearguard that doesn't have a force yet. Okay, to the Blaster Dark instead. Using the skill in the main, probably to get a Blackwing Swordbreaker. Alright, as expected, Blackwing Swordbreaker hits the board. This is actually really good because our opponent's trying to plus by drawing cards. And then we're going to make him go down to 4 with Jamio Congo. So that's actually really, really good. Also, fortunately, this is a 10k column, so unless my opponent wants to call over, which he just did. I don't know why he would call over that, though. I probably would have just called over something else. But now he can't use Mordred skill unless he has a Cursed Lancer in his hand to countercharge. That is an option as well. Okay, it chose to go another force on Vanguard. Oh, wow. Okay, so that was an interesting play by our opponent. Can't really say I justify it, but... no guard, he does get a Cursed Lancer. So we already know that's going to be coming at our face next turn. Maybe ridden on the Vanguard circle. Damage tech, anti-brand. And then we get attacked for 35. We're just going to go ahead and take that as well. Alright, the best thing that could possibly happen to us, honestly, is that we top deck the bird, Koko Shigarasu. And we did not do it. So we did get a Jamio though, which is tight. Imaginary Gift, Protect 1. And then we're going to use Jamio's skill to make him go down to 4. So he has to discard 3 cards because he currently has 7. See what cards he decides to guard or decides to drop. So our opponent decided to drop a PG, a crit, and a danger lunge, which is really interesting. Kind of wonder what the rest of my opponent's hand is now. Let's go ahead and call this. Using the skill on Vanguard to soul charge. We still did not soul charge a grade 3. Then we're gonna call this here. And call anti-brand. We're gonna switch them. And then we are going to actually use anti-brand skill. Make him bounce one. He's probably gonna bounce the Blackwing Swordbreaker. Yep. Awesome. We do go 10k, so that's good. Making a number against force. And then we are just gonna keep it just like that. So we're gonna attack for 16. Also, I know my opponent wants damage, and if he no guards a good amount of this and doesn't happen to block from hand that much, then Jamio is gonna take effect. But he did just block from hand, so that's okay. So Soul Charge 1 or Soul Blast 1, and we're gonna bounce our grade 2 to our hand. Attack for 15. Drive check 1. Drive check 2. Dude, where are my Koko Shigarasus? This is wild. Alright, at least our opponent doesn't heal. And they only have access to 1 counterblast because we're going to attack rear guard right here. And our opponent blocked it. So I guess the smartest play for my opponent to do, honestly, would probably be just to drop that extra dark that he has in hand on the board, and then just try to go for an offensive turn in that way. Stand and draw. We have lots of PGs in our hand, so we're fine there. It just really depends on what our opponent's got. Alright, so our opponent decided to not ride and go for calling another dark, like I said. And our opponent decided to call Cool Bow. We get attacked for 25. We're going to guard that with 27. Get attacked for 30. We're going to guard that with 32. Our opponent does use counterblast 1 to restand, so we're going to PG. Dropping let's go ahead and drop this Sakura Fubuki. Check 1, grade 2. Check 2, grade 1. Alright. So we know our opponent going into the next turn probably doesn't have that much shield in his hand, so if we can top deck like a Magatsu Storm or Kokyo, will probably be solid there as well. Let's go ahead and block this for 32. And our opponent attacks for 48. We are going to PG that. Probably dropping this grade 1. Alright, top deck Koku. Let's do it. Or a Magatu Storm. I'll take any grade 3. Oh, we didn't get it, guys. Okay. Let's go ahead and ride again. Another imaginary gift protect 1. Can't even talk, guys. Can't even talk. Alright, so we are gonna go call this here. Skill. Use on our Vanguard. Did we soul charge the 3? Oh my gosh, we soul charged the crit. What's wrong with us? We have just soul charge triggers all game. Alright, let's give ourselves another chance to try to get the Koku. And we still didn't get it. Oh my gosh, like, have we seen one this game already? I don't even think we have. Yeah, we literally haven't seen one this game yet. So we have 9 cards in our deck and we haven't seen it yet. That's super wild. Maybe I should... Yeah, I definitely want to... Yeah, I'm gonna call another Magatu here just to try to get one more card deeper into that Koku. If we can't get it... Alright, so we just give it up there. Okay. Alright. Well, that's pretty unlucky, but it's fine. Let's go ahead and attack for 15. Our opponent no guards. Damage check no trigger. That's really good for us, actually. And then Gale is going to use its ability. And we're going to bounce this other Gale. 15 to Vanguard. Man, I'm sad that we didn't get the bird because we could have made our opponent lose their entire board. And that would have been really nice to do. So we're attacking 15 to Vanguard. Our opponent's kind of deciding right now if they want to guard or not. Our opponent does guard for 28. And the bird was one more card deep. That's messed up. Oh, double bird! Oh my god! That's awful, guys. That's truly awful. Tag Vanguard for 16. He's probably just gonna block with something from his hand. Yeah. Guys, that's so unfortunate. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna Soul Blast and bounce. And then after this, if we survive, we get one more turn. So we know we can't heal because we did heal a lot in the early game. Specifically, we healed 4 times this game. Our opponent stands. Probably ride a Danger Lunge. That's what I would do. Oh, I guess not. So he goes for the main, which he can't do because he has to call to open. So I have no idea why he did that. Maybe just to look at his deck, look at how many triggers are in his deck. I guess that's a valid reason. Our opponent attacks for 25. So we have 9 cards in hand. If we guard with 2 for this, then that's going to be 7 cards in hand. Then for the other column, we just have to PG that. And then we have 3 PGs in our hands. So I don't think we can actually live this turn, guys. Let me calculate for this one more time. So 30k when Blaster Dark restands, 40k when it restands on the other one. So it's going to be attacking, those are the attacks we want to PG. PG. So that means that it's going to take 2 cards to block this, taking us down to 7. Yeah, we can't block it, guys. And we have no chance to heal, so pretty much instant loss this game. Dang, it's like really unfortunate that we couldn't get the Koku Shigarasu, because it would have been a completely different ball game that last turn. Alright guys, so we found our next match here. RKOS Unwavering. Alright, so we went rock to rock and then rock to scissors, so our opponent goes first. Our hand's not the best, but it's not terrible. At least we get to ride 1, 2, and 3. We're actually playing against Neo Nectar, so this is a cool matchup for us because when he calls triggers and we bounce them with Koku, then he's going to have to discard those raw cards out of his hand. So our opponent rides Mirka, obviously their ideal grade 1 ride, draws a card off the starter, and then Soul Blast to get a token. And our opponent goes ahead and passes turn. And we did get a grade 3, so our hand is now actually decent. And this is actually pretty troll, pretty funny. So I can call Anti-Brand here. This is another one of those matchups I was talking about. And just use it to bounce the token. The token goes away. I stand and I get 3k, and he doesn't have a token. So he's Soul Blasted for no reason, basically. Like, this card is only good in certain matchups, but the matchups that it is good in, it's like really good. So, as you guys can see, they all decided to come to our hand, like, in the early game, which is actually pretty funny. Yep, because our opponent wrote Sylvia here. And if our opponent has the promo that doubles tokens, like, that would have mattered a lot to have that one token on the board. Or just Irmisol, like if our opponent has Irmisol in general. So our opponent going to use Fruit Baskets. Okay. Our opponent uses Fruit Baskets Elf to call 2 tokens. Sweet. Does our opponent have an Irmisol? Yep. So I like how our opponent had to like use more resources to do that. Otherwise it would have been a different story had we not done Anti-Brand. Alright, so Vanguard attacks for 15. We're going to no-guard that. Hopefully it doesn't get a crit. Alright, awesome. Damage. Heal trigger. Unfortunately, we didn't have a damage already. We don't heal just like in the Shadow Paladin game, so we're going to go ahead and no-guard again because we want all the cards in our hand. Draw trigger. Power draw. And unfortunately, because Kaivant is so freaking big, we are still eating this third attack. Alright, no damage trigger there. So 3 damage, not terrible. Not terrible at all. So we are going to Megatu Gale. Kind of a Soul Blast draw. We drew a draw PG. That kind of sucks, honestly. We're going to go ahead and use Anti-Brand to get rid of that token behind his Vanguard. And then we're going to call 2 Anti-Brands to actually use it as Rush, because they're going to become 10k. Now, he will probably get the Irmisol and the Kaivant back to hand, but that's fine because he might have to guard with them anyways. So it would be the same as him intercepting. That's why we're not really worried about returning them to hand. 3, 2. Alright, so we're just going to keep things there. Attack for 10. Our opponent guards with Rebecca. Attack for 25. Alright, we do drive check at Koku, so that's pretty cool. Actually, we should be set up to use Koku next turn, assuming that he doesn't do something super wild where I have to use a PG during the turn. And then we go 10 to Vanguard. Alright, and he guards with the Kaivant, so cool. Basically the same as if it intercepted. Alright, so stand and draw. What is he gonna ride? Okay, rides Maiden of Trailing Rose. Okay, so he actually went Force 2. Which is interesting. He's gonna call 2 tokens. Interesting that he decided to call over one of the tokens that's already there. He goes into Irmisol, uses in the skill. And then what are you calling to the Force 2 circle? Oh, a Kaivon. Okay, so he had double Kaivon in his hand. That's actually really swole. Alright, all the tokens get 5k. Vanguard attacks for 23. Hopefully he doesn't get a crit. Alright, draw trigger, still not a crit. That's okay, we're good. And he gave the power to Kaivon. Please no crit, please. Okay, whew. Alright guys, we're good. We're Gucci. We are Gucci. Damage. Magatsu Storm. Our opponent attacks. Oh! Oh! Whew! We almost had a repeat of the Roy Potting game where we no guarded without remembering about Force 2. So we're actually just gonna PG this. Unfortunately. Drop this 5k. If we can top deck a PG next turn, that'd be great too. I really did want to Koku him next turn, but he's putting too much pressure on us for us to do that. So we take damage, Magatsu Gale, stand and draw. Oh my god, we top ticked the PG, guys. Okay. So it turns out we're actually godlike. So we're going to ride, get protect 1. Use a skill. Make him go down to 6 cards in hand. Alright, so we're actually going to start with Anti-Brand. Just so we can get these 10Ks live. Alright, and do it one more time. Bet. Alright, so we're going to move these back. And then call a Koku. And waiting for the game to recognize placement so that we can continue on. Come on, game. Come on. I have no idea why the game's not really letting us proceed. Oh, I guess my opponent literally just conceded. Oh, that sucks. Come on, I wanted to bounce the triggers and do the power play. Although, if our opponent survived, like, we would have been in a dicey scenario, but it would have been really cool right there because our opponent had 8 cards and would have had to just discard 5. That would have been so tight. Well, I guess if our opponent did concede, they just knew that their hand wouldn't be enough to guard the turn out, I guess. Alright, guys. Looks like we got our final match. A Kote. Maybe it's a D-Please player. That would be pretty cool. Because that's definitely a good matchup for us. Alright, so we're going to start with a good old rock. Our opponent starts with paper, so our opponent's going first. And we, again, get a decent hand, so I'm not complaining at all. Time to see what matchup we're fighting, because characters don't mean nothing. Having a character on Cardfight EX is kind of like having Vanguard sleeves on your cards in real life, and then when they flip the Vanguard, it's not actually that deck. So our opponent put back 1. Alright, and our opponent is playing Granblue. This is bound to be interesting. Our opponent rides Romario. Draws a card from starter. And it goes ahead and passes the turn to us. Stand and draw. We are going to ride Sakura Fubuki. Starter skill, draw a card. And we're going to go ahead and swing at Vanguard for 8. he's probably going to take it because he does want the counterboss 1 from Mario's skill. Drag check anti-brand. So anti-brand is not really useful in this matchup, particularly, because it won't really do anything. However, I guess worst case scenario, we can still use it to have like a 10k booster. Alright, sorry, it's time for our opponent to ride again. Our opponent rides Ruin Shade, classic. Then uses Romario probably to counter boss 1. Put a card into soul, mill 3, get 1. Yep, Romario skill. And the card that he puts in the soul is a Ripple Banshee. The cards that he mills, wow, he actually milled some good cards. Yeah, I thought so. He probably gonna grab the Greed Shade, play the Greed Shade to rear guard. And then use skill, discard, and mill 2, get 1. Discarded a crit and milled a PG and a Ruin Shade. Probably gonna get the Ruin Shade, honestly, just so that he can play it for more rush. That's at least what I would do. Yep, he got the Ruin Shade. Now is he gonna play it? Yeah. Oh, he had a second Greed Shade. Okay. Probably just discard the Ruin Shade back then. Okay, discarded another crit. And milled a PG and a Franger. Getting the PG. Interesting. So we know he has a PG in his hand, and we know that he has a Ruin Shade in his hand. Mill 2 to become 13. We're gonna no guard that. If we can hit a damage trigger, that would be godly right here. We didn't do it. Okay. Alright, we're gonna take the next attack too. Damage trigger, please. Please. Alright, bet. We got it. We are in good standing, boys and girls. Alright, so our opponent ends their turn. We actually are gonna attempt to go for the anti-brand rush here, because I do not like playing the long game with Granblue. It's just very no bueno, shall we say. Alright, so skill. Bounce. And we really don't care that he's able to call the Greed Shades back, because it would be the same as if we attacked and he intercepted, because he would just call them from drop zone the next turn. So I don't care that they're going to his hand, because if he plays them back, he is going to have to drop and mill. And the way to beat Granblue, or one of the ways at least, one of the main ways, is just to deck them out. So alright, attack for 10. Alright, our opponent guards with guards with the Ruin Shade that he pulled out of drop zone last turn. We attack for 16 here. Our opponent no guards. We check a draw trigger. Amazing. Power to rear guard. Damage check, no trigger. And then we attack our opponent for 20. He has to give us a 15k. Alright, so our opponent gave us a 15k. Alright, guys, so stand and draw. Is he gonna ride the... Okay, yep, ride Cocytus. Imaginary Gift Protect 1. So our opponent does not have a 3 in soul. So he uses Kokaitis skill, mill 4, and then call 2. So our opponent's taking a super long time to decide what he wants to call. He decides to call this Ghosty, forgot what it's called, and Ripple Banshee. Ripple Banshee, Soul Blast Draw. Now the good thing about this matchup is that with him trying to accrue as many cards in hand as possible, because he's Granblue and he's not trying to really commit from hand, we can have Jamio be super good against it. Alright, so our opponent's in the middle of Greed Shade, deciding what he wants to do. Alright, grabs the PG. Interesting. Goes for another Greed Shade. And actually, between this this Greed Shade and the Ghosty card, he should have 20 in drop, which will activate Kokaitis' crit. Which is actually pretty scary because we're on grade 2. But yeah. Our opponent grabs the Violence Franger early. This is a really long turn. Alright, our opponent uses the Ghosty card as predicted, which makes him 20 cards in drop. Kokaitis goes up 10k more and gets a crit. Alright, so our opponent attacks for 2 crit. We are going to no-guard. Check 1, Violent Franger. Check 2, Greed Shade. Okay, so we're good there. Ooh, we do damage check a heal trigger, and we do heal. So that's amazing. And damage check a Tsunamasa. Our opponent attacks for 24. We are going to take it. Unfortunately, there's Magatsu Storm right there. So it does attack for 26. We're going to block that one because we don't like being at 5 damage against Granblue, because Violence Franger is a card that exists. Stand and draw. We ride. Get our Protect 1. Use the skill, make him go down to 6 cards. I wish Anti-Brand said make them mount 1 and discard 1, but honestly I guess that would be too good. Our opponent decides to discard Kokaitis. Skill. And use skill of this before I decide on what I'm going to do next. Okay. I'm going to move this back. And we're going to call skill. Soul Charge. Did we Soul Charge a 3 though? Oh, we did Soul Charge a 3. Alright, bet. That's actually really good. Alright guys, so we're just going to keep it there. Attack for 18. Alright, our opponent no guards. Get to critical trigger. Luckily, that 3k from our grade 2 makes us able to hit the Vanguard still. So let's go ahead and bounce our grade 2 to hand. And then attack for 22. Our opponent does PG. And we're going to have to check 2 triggers for our rearguard attack to hit Vanguard. And we already failed the requirement. Not a super big deal though, because we can just end turn here, and then our opponent has to go down to 4 cards in hand. Our opponent's thinking really deep. Okay. So our opponent discards Franger and Greed Shade. Opponent goes to main phase. Does the skill of Cocytus, counterblast 1, mill 4, and call 2. Our opponent's deciding what to call. And also our opponent has 9 cards in deck, so this will not last for much longer. So I feel like our opponent's really trying to figure out like what's the best option or combination of options of stuff to do. Alright, our opponent calls Ghoul Dragon and the Banshee. Skill, Soul Blast draw. And call Greed Shade. Is he going to use the skill though? Yep, Greed Shade, discard Greed Shade. Mill 2. He's probably going to add that Massacre to hand, honestly, because if not, he's going to deck out because of Cocytus next turn. Oh, he added the Franger to hand. Very interesting option. Okay, and he's calling the Franger now. I don't know why, because he doesn't have a grade 3 in Soul. Maybe he's calling it just to call it, I guess. Alright, goes into battle. Swing at our Vanguard. BPG. Drop this 5k. Check 1, critical trigger, probably all to Ghoul Dragon. Yep. Yep. Alright, at least it wasn't double crit, so we don't have to block both. Alright, our opponent attacks for 82. UPG. Drop. Alright, and our opponent attacks for 34, which we are going to take because we want to keep all these rear guards in our hand. Alright, so our opponent has to go down to 4. Alright, stand. Right, Gemio. this one back. Skill, he can have the Banshee. So what we're trying to do is make for pressure turns and higher columns. So skill to Vanguard, Soul Charge, Soul Charge to grade 1, and then call Magatsu Gale. Skill, counter +1, soul +1 draw. Alright, so we're in action now. So 18 to Vanguard. Not really sure what my opponent can do in this scenario because he can't even afford to take a damage, but he needs the counterblast. Like, it's a weird scenario for sure. Alright, so our opponent guards with the ripple that we gave him. We do use the skill, our grade 2 bounce. And then we attack for 22. Our opponent probably gonna PG. Yep. So our opponent just discarded one of the frangers that they had. 1, 2, draw trigger, and we drew a heal. And then we attack Vanguard for 35. And our opponent no guards. Cool. So our opponent damage checks a Cocytus. We do use the skill. Bounce to hand. So hopefully our opponent doesn't have... yeah, if our opponent has... so I feel like our opponent has to ride to use Franger, first of all. And then our opponent has to have a 0 and a 1 in hand. Oh, our opponent just straight gave up. Well, we're actually kind of scared of our opponent, but I think our opponent just assumed that we had a really swole hand. But that has been the last game of this Future Fight Vanguard video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, leave a like on the video, thumbs up, comment down below letting me know your thoughts on the video and how do you build Nubatama from this set and what was your favorite thing to do. As always, if you guys are interested in anime or video games, check out Let's Plays Animes, check out our sponsor Vision for more Cardfight content on their page, and check out our brand new join button next to the subscribe button below for more exclusive stuff on the channel. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace, guys.